Hello and welcome. Welcome to the channel. What a week this has been, isn't it? Exciting because finally we got some answers, but at the same point of time, troublesome because so many things which are unclear still. And at the same point of time, some good news coming for startup visa applicants. Hey, open work permits, right? 3 years, 2 years after Sean Fraser announced it during the what was it? Con, that's what it is called, collision conference. And then there was this ICT, intra-company transfer program, basically becoming more difficult for people who are planning to come to Canada under this program. Postgraduate work permit changes, basically scary, but at least clarity. No express entry draw. Again, we were expecting it last week, didn't happen. Expecting it this week, didn't happen. First comment that comes, when can we expect the express entry draw? Well, listen, if the question is going to be, when is the next draw? I don't know. If the question is going to be, what is going to be the score? I don't know. If the question is going to be, what is the category draws looking like? Or when is the next category draws? I don't know. These are the questions. Forget me. I don't think there's anybody who knows except for the person who's going to click on that button to say, okay, the draw has been conducted. I don't know. God, of course, knows. I don't know. IRCC, of course, knows. The provinces know if they are conducting their own PNP draws. Definitely, RCICs, consultants, lawyers, none of us have any clue as to when the next draw will happen, what the score will look like, what categories will be invited, how many invitations will be issued. None of this. I would love to know. And if I knew, then obviously I would be like, really raking it in. But I don't know, to be very honest. I definitely hope and pray that it happens. Trust me, every morning, that's what I'm hoping for, that, okay, manifesting that today the express entry draw happens. And I'm talking about this and I'm making a video on this, but for some reason, it's just not happening. Maybe we need to bring in more positive vibes. But at the same point of time, changes are happening. Lots of things are happening as far as IRCC is concerned. And we understand there are a lot of other changes which are also planned as far as IRCC is concerned. Some good, some not so good, some looking quite troubling as well. But at the same point of time, let's talk about what changes have happened this year. This week. That is what we're going to talk about in today's episode of Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. Starting with the PNPs and updates. British Columbia, as you know, they are pretty spot on with their draws and they continue with the draws. This time they've conducted draws, skilled worker, international graduate, entry level and semi-skilled. You can see the scores pretty high, 128 and 110. They also conducted draws under childcare, construction, healthcare, veterinary care. And again, the scores 83, 89, 99, 80, pretty high there as well. Manitoba held their first, they conducted two draws on the 27th of September. The first draw was for the international education stream, issuing 269 letters of advice. And the second draw they conducted was for the skilled worker overseas, who also had been invited under the strategic recruitment initiative. Alberta, for people who still do not know, Alberta has already launched their new expression of interest system. So if you are anywhere in Canada or outside, you are, in most cases, if you can create your express entry profile, then even if you're outside Canada, you can create your expression of interest as far as the Alberta PNP is concerned. If you are inside Canada, and even if you are not eligible in express entry, you may still be eligible to create your expression of interest in the Alberta PNP website. People, if you are in Alberta, you have the work experience in Alberta, you have the education in Alberta, you also have the job offer, the arranged employment as far as the Alberta is concerned. Now, arranged employment within the Alberta technical terms is that if you have an employer whose annual income is 400,000 Canadian dollars and who has been in business for at least 2 to 3 years, also has at least 3 employees who are PRs or citizens, and of course, in Alberta, then and of course, the employer has a physical address, is verifiable, and is willing to sign that coveted form for you, then also you would be eligible under the Alberta PNP program. So please go ahead and make your create your express entry profiles. No, wrong. Create your expressions of interest on the Alberta account, Alberta Accelerated Tech pathway, Alberta Opportunity Stream, Alberta Express Entry Stream. If you have relatives in Alberta, then of course, please do create your expression of interest. Now, There is no fee, of course, as you already know. And where is this? Why am I not having the screen? No. Okay. Now, and the draw for Alberta, we do not know how they will conduct a draw. What Alberta has done, for some strange reason, I can't really understand why they did this. They have kept the scoring factor for very low points. Like CLB 6, you can get high scores. Like 1 year of work experience, you can get high scores, or rather the top scores. Like, why? Why won't you give importance to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of work experience? Why won't you give more points to CLB 7, 8, 9, 10 for that matter? Why? Why won't you do that, right, Alberta? So I'm not sure how they're planning to conduct the draw, but this expression of interest, the way it looks like, it doesn't look like it's a very well drafted or put together. It seems like it has been put together in a hush-posh manner, and probably they will make changes to it as and how we progress. But for the time being, that's the expression of interest portal you have from Alberta. And the draw will happen somewhere mid or late October. No dates announced. We will have to see when that happens. And of course, because a lot of people will be able to score quite high as far as Alberta is concerned, therefore, I anticipate that the score, one, is going to be on the high side of things, and number two, there has to be more to it. They will have to be able to invite people with some sort of labor market priorities, some sort of saying, they will have to be more to than just the score. It has to be. It just can't be the score. But we'll have to wait and see how the scores happen. But for the time being, for Alberta, you should also know that they have already issued, that's what the screen tells me, they have already, they have already issued 8,023 invitations already for 2024. And the nominations that are remaining for 2024, not too many, only 1,727. And applications to be processed, which means applications that are already in the pipeline, they have 4,440, which tells you that if you have already submitted your application for Alberta, some of you, at least almost 2,500-ish of you, may not receive your nominations this year. You might actually receive it next year against the quotas targets of Alberta PNP for next year. Alberta has roughly 10,000, why am I even thinking? 9,500 is their code. 9,700, isn't it? Yeah, 9,750. That's their annual target for 2024. It's actually slightly less than we were anticipating. And with this 9,750, if you haven't received your nomination because you already submitted your application, then anticipate it, expect it next year, especially if you have submitted towards the fag end of when they were trying to process their, when they had announced their, if you can apply kind of the program that they did last few months back. Other than that, everybody else who will be making an application to Alberta now or later, well, you guys should understand and know that you will get your nomination only next year. But Alberta is a participant of the federal open work permit program provision, whereby if you have already made an application to Alberta, you have submitted, so you have been invited, you have submitted your application to Alberta, and if your work permit is expiring, then maybe Alberta will send you a support letter. You will have your, of course, your job offer letter as well, and using that, you would be in a position to make an application to extend your work permit. It's possible. So far, only 3 provinces are part of that quite a decent policy that RCC has come up with in terms of allowing those people who have already submitted their applications in the PNP, with the support letter from the PNP, they are able to submit an extension for their work permits. So far, Manitoba, Alberta, Yukon, 3 provinces only. For some reason, Ontario chose not to participate. Now, I don't know why they chose, but who knows, right? Some people obviously think in different manner. They have other reasons to believe and other reasons to think. But anyways, so some provinces have chosen not to participate, including Alberta, including British Columbia, including the Atlantic provinces. They have chosen not to participate. So, well, it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. In other news, we have some other news. New expression of interest system for Alberta worker stream. As I told you, this has been launched on the 30th of September. And of course, the draws will happen sometime in mid-October or late October. We don't know the date yet. Now, IRCC is going to grant open work permits to the Yukon nominee candidates. Again, if you have made, so this is the new, this is a province which has been newly added to this provision. It was earlier Alberta and Manitoba, as I was just telling you. Now Yukon also has been added. They have also agreed with the federal government that they will be issuing the support letters to their 200 and how many are there? 215 applicants of the Yukon nominee program, and their work permits are expiring, and they would like them to continue working, and they would like them to continue staying. That's how the provinces roll. Ontario, are you listening? Are you listening, right? But anyway, so this is what's happening with Yukon. Good job, Yukon. Updates with the intra-company transferees. Now, if you were one of those individuals who were sold a program pathway under the intra-company transfer, well, bad news. If you haven't submitted your application already, IRCC has made it very, very difficult. Now, only MNCs, so multinational companies who are already existing, so you have to have operations in at least 2 countries other than Canada, and you set up your office in Canada, and then under some other stringent conditions, you would be eligible to apply for intra-company transfers for your employees. Not only do you need to have operations in at least 2 other countries, in addition to Canada, your Canadian business should be operational. You have to show funds, you have to show activity, you have to show business premises. Only then you would be able to submit an application for intra-company transfer. And of course, you have to also show Canadian benefit in that transfer. So this which was also being used as a loophole has now been made more stricter. And yeah, that's another loophole that IRCC or the Liberals or Mark Miller has tried to close down in terms of how they were being misused and manipulated by some people out there. Canada offers open work permits for the startup visa applicants. Now, we already know that startup visa applications are now restricted to approximately 800 applications a year because each of the designated organizations who are registered with IRCC, who can then provide letter of support, have a cap of only 10 applications in a year. Based on that, there are roughly about 82 or 83 of them. So about 800 applications is what will be accepted per year. Each application, of course, can have 5 families or 5 individual members, however you would like to call it. But what has happened is 2 years back in a collision conference, Sean Fraser had announced lots of changes, lots of new programs for the IT workers. Especially, that's when the H-1B work permit was announced. That's when STEM category drawers were announced. That's when digital nomad program was announced. Though I don't understand digital nomad. I mean, there is nothing different than a visit visa and a digital nomad. But they announced it as a separate pathway. And that is the time when he also announced that the startup visa applications, the startup visa applicants will also be eligible to apply for open work permit. But after that collision conference, everything went silent. Nobody heard of anything until now. This week, finally, Canada has announced they've published the criteria to say that if you have submitted your startup visa application and you have received your acknowledgement of receipt, which is file number. The problem is for startup visa applications, you don't get a file number until 1.5 years to 2, sometimes even 2 years after you have submitted, like 1.5 years after you have submitted your application, you don't get a file number. The processing time has gone up to 4 to 5 years right now. 4 years is an average for a startup visa application. I know a lot of people are being sold into the lie that the startup visa applications are being processed in 18 months. They're not. They take significantly longer. And of course, there is a smaller number of quotas as far as these applications are concerned. But the good news is that if you are a startup visa applicant, and you have received your AOR, then you just may be lucky because you can now apply for an open work permit. Now, the reasoning behind the open work permit was that because it's a startup and a person is coming to Canada and their startup may still not be making money, so they should be given an open work permit so that they can also work elsewhere so that they can pay for their expenses. But you're a startup. So people in startup are supposed to work 24/7, right? Isn't that how it is supposed to be? Anyways, so I mean, who am I to sort of? I mean, I work in a startup. I am still here, and it's like, what's the time? 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm still working. So yeah, we all do that. Study visa applicants, good news for you. 3 years open work permit, not only for yourself, you can also bring in your family members. They would also get an open work permit. Spouse and dependent partners, children, of course, get study permits and visitor record if applicable. Oh boy, this one has like created that mess in a way that so many people are confused around so many things. Now, I've already made 2 videos. Please watch it because I've explained it in detail as to what it is. But just for the sake of clarity, we'll do it one more time, right? Why not? First of all, the date to remember is 1st of November. That's the first thing you need to understand. If you are currently in Canada, if you are going to submit your postgraduate work permit because you already completed your studies or are going to complete your studies or will be completing your studies sometime soon, anytime soon, does not matter. You do not have to worry. You will get a postgraduate work permit, of course, if you are eligible under the current program regulations. The only difference is that after the 1st of November, if you're submitting a postgraduate work permit application, you will now need language test results. CLB 7, if you are a university graduate. Now, university graduate means bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhDs. You need CLB 7. If you are doing a diploma or any other certificate program from university or a college, you need CLB 5. These are the 2 requirements. November 1, if you're applying for postgraduate work permit after November 1, you need language test results. Before November 1, no changes, nothing, no problem. Go ahead and do it. After November 1, or rather on and after November 1, if you submit your study permit application, means you are submitting a new study permit application, then in that case, you have to ensure that if you are applying for a program which is not a master's or a PhD, then your program should basically match with one of the occupations in demand, long-term occupations in demand. So IRCC has issued a list of 966 CIPs. This is another thing which we need to remember. Classification of instructional programs. So there's a specific code for that. If it matches with what you are studying, then you will be eligible for a postgraduate work permit after you complete your study. So this is only for those people who are yet to submit their study permit applications, which will be after the 1st of November. Okay. If you're submitting it before 1st of November, no problem. Please go ahead. You will not have any problems when you complete your studies. You will still be able to apply for your postgraduate work permit along with your English or French test results. What happens to 1+1 programs? What happens to people who are applying for extensions? Now, no clarity has been provided. That's what I said, right? IRCC is such a chaos. I do not know why can't they provide all the information from get-go, but somehow they have to make a khichdi out of all of this and allow us people to sort of, create all these videos and give you this clarity. But at this point of time, because there is no clarity, please take it literally and make your application, submit your applications before the 1st of November, even if you're doing a 1+1, even if you're applying for extensions. Because if there is no further clarity, then the 1st of November rule will apply. If you are doing 1+1, and if you make a new application for your extended period of study after the 1st of November, then if there is no further clarification, those new rules will also apply to you. So please choose your program wisely. That's all I can tell you. If your study permit application has been refused, rejected, sent back to you, new application. If it is after if it is on or after 1st of November, new rules will apply until further clarification. So please take this date very, very seriously. If you are intending to study in Canada, or if you are completing your studies and if you want to pursue another program in Canada, then again, please consider this 1st of November very, very seriously. Now, NOC code, TEER code, CIP code. So you all, these are the 3 codes now you need to remember. NOC code, we all know, National Occupation Classification Code. This code is, we all know, right? This is your occupation code. Every single occupation has a 5-digit code. This 5-digit code defines the job roles, responsibilities, your employment requirements, etc., etc. This is needed for your LMIS. This is needed for your express entry application. This is needed by Stats Canada for lots of other processes when they're defining the occupations with regards to what is in priority, what is labor market in priorities or not, what are the wage reports, what should be the median wage levels. NOC codes are used by all government departments in different capacities, but also by immigration. Then it is the TEER code. TEER code is training, education, experience. R. I always keep forgetting R. I keep forgetting R all the time, but no, you have to find it out. What is TEER? TEER code. Always do this to myself. What is R? Come on. Does anybody remember what is R? Training, education, experience, and I still can't find it. Wow. Responsibility. My God. I don't know. This is one thing where I keep skipping it. So yes, training, education, experience, responsibility. This is what defines your level. So TEER codes are into 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are based on the kind of education you have, the kind of experience you have. So these are the broader qualification. And that's how you go with your knock codes. Now you have to also remember your CIP code. Isn't that interesting? What is CIP code? CIP code is, no, this is not CIP code. Hold on. This is CIP code. Classification of instructional programs. Now I have the whole database of it. You don't have to look for it, because when you're following my channel, when you're watching these videos, you will always have it handy. Click on the description box of this video. You will find the link for this particular catalog. This is a good 900 pages long document. It includes all the different occupations, all the different codes, the CIP codes for all the different programs. You don't have to do anything to look for it. You will find it right here. For example, 15.0407 is mechatronics, robotics, automation engineering. Oh boy, that seems pretty serious stuff. But yes, you will find all your CIP codes here. What you need to do is, if you are in doubt, all you need to do is you need to call your college. You need to send them an email and ask them what is the CIP code, the classification of instructional program code of your program that you intend to pursue after the 1st of November, if that's what you're trying to do. And that is what you will then match with the IRCC's website. This one here, this is the changes that they have announced most recently. Again, don't worry, the link is in the description. You don't have to freak out and see where can I find this. And even in this, as you will scroll down, field of studies that are most prominent are agriculture and agri-food, healthcare, STEM, trade, transport. Wow, what a surprise. Does this not look familiar to you? Just in, with Express Entry, even in Express Entry, it's the same categories, which tells you something, which tells you that these are going to be in demand. If IRCC has identified this for study programs after 1st of November, and it's the same categories, it also tells you that they should continue with these categories. This is at least the indication. But these are the CIP codes and titles. Okay, you can find this here. However you wish to find your program, in the filter items here, just put, I don't know, let's say human resources is not there. What else have we got? What kind of program we got? Accounts. Okay, if you put account, I'm getting accounting, computer, and science CIP title, and it comes under the social science, technology, engineering, math, which is a STEM, and the code number is 301601, which you can then go ahead and look in this. I don't know if I can find 30, but let's see if I can. 30161. I have to really scroll down right to the bottom. We are at 44. No, 30. Where is 30? So if you go into this catalog, you should be able to find 30. Come on, 30161. Hopefully we can find it before the end of my live session today. It's taking time. 30129. We are here. 129 162 161. So anyways, you got the idea, right? This is how you will find out which programs are going to be included. And this catalog is pretty handy. Oh, here we are. Accounting and computer science, 301601. And what are the programs? So accounting and computer programming, accounting and computer science, computer accounting. These are the programs that will be included. This is how you go. This is how you figure out what programs are included, what programs are not. So I'm giving you all of this information so that you have it handy. Let's get back to this one. So this was a TEER code and knock code and CIP code. You have more information about it now. Provinces have increased the minimum wage. Isn't that nice? Whenever the salaries go up, it's always nice, except for employers, including me, when you have to shell out more. But anyways, for the time being, Ontario, Prince Edward Islands, Manitoba, Saskatchewan have all increased the legal minimum hourly wage paid to the workers as of the 1st of October. Most increases are incremental and tied to the rate of inflation. For example, in Ontario, the minimum wage was $16.55, which has gone up to $17.20. Okay, pretty cool that. Connect with us, please. Please connect with us. Social media platforms, we are everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok as well. If that's your fancy of social, by all means, please connect with us, follow us, like, follow, subscribe. And if you are here right now, hit on that boop on that like button so we get this video out to more and more and more people. And of course, if you wish to make an appointment one-on-one, because I can see there are a lot of questions, but there are only so many questions that I will be able to complete today. So by all means, this is the link. By all means, please book an appointment, and we can then discuss during your consultation one-on-one as to what your queries might be, concerns might be, and hopefully give you an answer or a way or guidance to follow up. We are there on Instagram. This is what you can do to follow up. And if you wish to avail our services, after all, I'm also a CICC licensed immigration consultant. We run a full-fledged, complete immigration company. That's the email, support@askkubeir.com. Drop us an email. We'll be very happy to take over your application or handle your application and provide you with a full legal representation. Before I go on and start answering your questions, a lot of you have been asking this as to how do you figure out what will be the occupations in demand? How are IRCC identifying it? What exactly brings it to the level where that they are able to identify which programs continue to be in demand? So what I have for you is also a list. There you go. That's the Canadian Occupational Projection Systems. Now, imbalances between labor demand and supply. It's a very interesting document. For people who like to read these documents and understand what IRCC and from where they're getting their information, then please do take a look at this. This document has also the link to this has also been shared in the description. Please just hit on that and have a read through this. Very interesting document. Now, just for example, occupations showing signs of labor shortage. You have health-related occupations, natural and applied sciences, some sales and services, but there's 0 here. Trades, there is 3 here. Manufacturing occupations, natural resources and agriculture, education, law, social government, some management occupations. Now, the exact occupations and what they are, if you go down, there is a lot more information on this particular document. You will be able to find out exactly which knock codes, etc., etc. Similarly, if I go up, occupations showing signs of labor surplus. Okay, whenever you see this kind of a document, then you know that this could basically mean that these might be the occupations which might not be in demand anymore. Okay, so when you come to something like this, then you will see that business, finance, and administration is a field of occupation which is considered as a field in which you have surplus. Same thing with sales and services, arts, cultures, recreation and sports, natural and applied sciences as well. Something to take a look at, because that can give you a glimpse of which way IRCC or other provinces individually may be headed. Always very nice to have these documentation handy. And if you fancy some nighttime reading, then there you go. I've given you a couple of them to read. Fancy away, read away, and enjoy and understand which way IRCC tends to go and favor, and how do they want to sort of figure out their future moves. Let's take some questions. I got CEC PR with non-accompanying spouse. With my spouse was in Canada on a spouse open work permit and TRV valid until 2031. I plan spousal PR outland from India. Can she return to Canada with her valid TRV after AOR for spousal PR? The answer to your question is yes, she can, no problem. As long as your spouse has a valid TRV, you as a spouse is in Canada, she can come and visit you at any point of time. Kondal, please don't worry. That's an absolute fine process. And once your spouse is in Canada, you can also then apply for an open work permit for your spouse on the basis that you have received an AOR for the spousal sponsorship PR application. So no issues at all, absolutely fine. Go ahead and get it done. Applying for CEC, have 3 years of work experience, a paid internship, full-time, have pay slips, same knock code, was in the last semester, not attending college. Can I use this internship experience in 3 years? The answer is yes, you can. Even if it is internship, even if it is co-op, but it is outside Canada. If you were working while you were studying, no problem. Even if it was internship, no problem. As long as it was under a valid knock code, it was paid, you can claim this work experience. Absolutely no issues at all. Work permit expiring 11th of October, will claim 15 points from brother in 3 to 4 months. Total would be 498. Experience of 3 years is completed. Fake extension or visitor visa. Please suggest. Well, if you need to continue working in Canada, consider applying for an extension of your work permit. It might give you 2 weeks. It might give you 2 months. It might give you 6 months. I don't know. At this point of time, the processing times are varying. But if you don't really need to be in Canada, if you don't really need to work, or you don't really need that period of work experience, consider going back and spending some time with family and friends until you become eligible, and then apply for a PR and come back to Canada. The decision is yours. It all depends on, do you really need to work those extra hours, those extra weeks, those extra months? And based on that, you make a decision. Yeah. Okay, what else have you got here? After ITA situation, I have shown 5 experiences in my express entry. Now I want to claim just 3. Post ITA, scores will remain the same. How can I do that? Well, very simple. If there is any period of work experience which is in your express entry work history, and you don't want to show it there anymore because, hey, you don't want to provide documentation, your employer said I will not provide it, simply delete it from your work history, but please make sure that it reflects correctly on your personal history. Now, also bear in mind that it should not impact your eligibility or your CRS scores. You have to be very careful with that. As long as it doesn't make an impact with that, you're fine. You can remove it from your work history, show it in your personal history, and you are good to go. Oh, we just did this, right? Okay, seems to have come back again. CEC inland applicant, should I upload my e-medical sheet? I no longer have the medical form I filled out during my study visa application. Okay, you know what? Good you brought this up, because for some reason we have missed out this update for today's weekly roundup. So for everybody who did not realize or understand, or who forgot about it, well, guys, if you are inside Canada, you are making an application for permanent residence or temporary residence, and if you have completed your medicals within the last 5 years, then you can use the same medicals. You don't need to redo your medicals. Okay. If you are outside Canada, and if you haven't completed your medicals, you don't have to do it an upfront medical. You simply need to upload a plain white blank paper in your medicals upload tab, and IRCC will send you the medical request. It applies to everybody. But if you're inside Canada and you do not have your medical report, like here, in this case, should I upload my e-medical sheet? Yes, please upload your e. So at the time you completed your medicals, the medical center would have issued you a medical completion letter. Please upload that to your application, and that's good to go. If you don't have it, and if you remember your IME number, then you can also provide that. If you don't remember it at all, if you don't have it, then just upload a blank white paper, and IRCC will send you a request for medicals. But if you have any information about your past medicals, and or if you have your medical information sheet, then that's all you need to upload. Maitri says, CRS 500 work permit expiring next week. Plan to return to my home country to await an ITA. What adjustments should I make to my EE profile? If I add foreign work experience, does it have to be 1 year continuous? Good question. So if you leave from Canada, the only change you will need to make is, after you have left, is the change your country of residence in your express entry profile. That's all. That's the only change required. And once you complete your 1 year of foreign work experience, you can update that in your express entry work history. And because you're already eligible in Canadian experience class, therefore you don't need to have 1 year of continuous foreign work experience. It could be segmented. There's no problem with that. Closed work permit, no TRV. Can I go to USA and come back? Yes, you can. If it's a valid work permit, you go to the US for a few days, you can return back. How to renew PR card if I'm unable to complete 1095 days in Canada? Well, you cannot apply for renewal of PR card if you haven't completed your 1095 days in Canada. You simply return back to Canada, complete your 1095 days within a span of 5 years, and 1095. Oh, hold on. To renew your 1095 days is for citizenship. For PR card, you need to stay in Canada for 730 days. So if you have already stayed for 730 days, apply for the extension. But if it is a citizenship, then it is 1095. And if you haven't complied with the residency obligation, then come back to Canada, complete your residency obligation period, and only then apply for your PR card. Nothing here, nothing here. Hey, can we apply for Alberta PNP Tech without employer support? No, you cannot, because that is the basic eligibility criteria for Alberta Accelerated Tech Pathway, that you need to have the employer support and a job offer. Only then will you be able to make that application. Can we expect EE draws for this month for CEC? Yes, I mean, as far as expectation is concerned, I am forever hopeful. I am very hopeful, and I certainly feel that the draw should have happened last week. For whatever the reason is, it did not. But you know what that does? Let's talk a little bit about express entry. In my opinion, now that the express entry draw did not happen, the problem is this is going to be a further gap. Now, in the last couple of draws or the pool breakdown that we have seen, the number of people who were getting added with the 500 plus score has grown. Earlier, the number of, so this is not a consistent number, we were just taking an average, but over the last two draws, the pool breakdowns are reflecting approximately 250 people getting added per day. Earlier, it was inconsistent, right? Sometimes it used to be 100 people per day, sometimes 150, sometimes even less. But over the last two draws, that number has grown a lot. With that, which then tells you that whenever there is a longer gap, which is now an extra 1 week gap, and if IRCC now chooses to conduct a draw, which could be, I don't know, 3,500, 4,200, 4,000, or if that kind of a similar number, then the scores are not staying consistent, and neither are they going to go down. You will see the number going up. And from 507, the number went to 509. Now that 509 number could very well, with this gap, and depending on the number of invitations, could very well go up to probably another couple of points. So that's something which we'll have to see. But at this point of time, I would be quite annoyed with IRCC, especially if I was at the number of 510, 509, 508, as to why does this happen. But unfortunately, that's what IRCC does, right? Will I be eligible for 50 points if my employer converts a no-name LMIA to a named LMIA by adding my name? Yes, absolutely, yes, no problem. So the minute the LMIA has your name on it and it has been added, now you have an LMIA job offer, and hence you are eligible to claim 50 points. Lucky girl. Can you please let me know if 50 CRS points will be added on LMIA exempt C20 reciprocal visa? Yes, it can be added after you complete 1 year of work experience, and if your employer gives you a job offer which states that this job offer is valid for 1 year after you become PR. Please talk about categories too. Well, I did speak about the categories earlier. I said, and I showed it to you on the recent update from IRCC, where they said, let me see if I can pull that up again. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, so you see, these are the field of priority field of, so they have now even identified the same field of priority for the postgraduate work permit eligibility as well. So only if your field of education is in any of these occupational fields, then you would be eligible for the postgraduate work permit. These are 5 broad categories. Now, the same categories have also been identified in express entry under the category draws. So in my opinion, these will continue. The category draws and the same categories will continue at least for the next foreseeable future. Definitely into the next year, and then you might have a new government and the new immigration minister, and he might also agree to continue with the same, because for the time being, transport, trade, healthcare, agri and food, STEM, they definitely seem to be hot in demand. IQS ECA for MBA mentions under the level of achievement outside Canada, 3-year distance learning graduate degree program, and under comparative level MBA degree generally compares to the completion of MBA degree. How to interpret? Well, if it is giving you the comparative level as an MBA degree compares to an MBA degree, then you treat it as an MBA degree and use that for your points. I am a truck driver. Please tell, will I be eligible in any of the category draws? Yes, you are eligible under the transport category draw. Give it a look. I applied for PR on 23rd of September under CEC and my biometrics was already done at the time of study, but everyone's saying that I would have to give my biometrics again for the PR. Yes, absolutely right. As far as IRCC is concerned, for some reason, they think that your fingerprints change and your picture changes before and after your PR application, for whatever the reason is. For some reason, during COVID, they had given this exemption, but not now. So once you will submit your PR application, CEC or otherwise, then they would send you another biometric request, which you will need to complete. Can you please explain the meaning of 1-year master's program in Ontario master's graduate stream? Does that mean 2 semesters is enough or 3 semesters? Well, it just means 1-year master's. And your college will or your university will tell you whether it's a 1-year master's or not. Most masters are 1 year. In some cases, your semesters might be 6 months long. So just figure out from your university as to what are they offering. In most cases, you don't have an 8-month program for masters. So it will be 1-year program. So don't worry about it. What else have we got? Do you think categories will continue? Yes, I just said yes, categories will continue. I don't see any issue there at all. Have you seen any inclusion of childcare for express entry or any other express stream? No, I haven't at this point of time. On the contrary, child caregivers would be in the new program that is being designed by IRCC under the child caregiver. So the child caregiver program is being revamped, it's being redesigned, and once they relaunch that program, then the child caregivers have a great option there. If you have an employer, then that would be a great option. But other than that, in PNPs, I haven't really seen the child caregivers or early childhood educators, those being included. Not at this point of time, though it's quite in demand. I would have assumed that they would have included that. What if the score is 522? Would it be good for E? In my opinion, yes, 522 is a great score. And if it is CEC, then absolutely brilliant score. Is it possible to apply for work permit under Francophone Mobility Program on visitor status? Why someone hire if I have so much processing time? A good question. Visitor to work permit in Canada, inside Canada application has been stopped, even if it is Francophone mobility. So you will have to make an application from outside Canada using form number 1295. And why would someone hire if you have so much, if there is so much of processing time? Well, ask yourself, how did you manage to find that job? And if the employer finds good skill sets, if the employer finds you to be a good employee with, and as a Francophone with French speaking abilities, then maybe the employer would like to wait. So yeah, why not? They are acting with impulses. No category draws in express entry. Do you really think they would conduct category draws as they conduct only CEC in French? Well, I certainly feel that they would conduct a category draw. Now, why they are not conducting, in my opinion, the only reason why they haven't conducted a category draw is because they have pivoted, they have course corrected, they have changed some internal policies because they did want to sort of reduce the number of people in the pool who are Canadian experience class, because they are all temporary residents. So the sooner they can try and convert most of the temporary residents into permanent residents, that also brings the number of temporary residents down. So they can always come out and make those big announcements and say, hey, you know what, we made all these efforts, we have taken all these steps and have been able to reduce the number of temporary residents in Canada to 6.5% and then to 5% and all those kind of numbers. So probably one of that reasons, because even within the category draws, people from outside Canada are eligible, and therefore they may want to have restricted that, because earlier CEC was no specific category, at least not in the ATIP notes we saw. We didn't see any specific separate segmented category for CECs. So they did start conducting CEC draws, and then the only explanation is that because they have to now make room to conduct those CEC draw, which was earlier not the plan. Earlier plan was only general category draws, 21.5% of the total ITAs, which was roughly 20,000, 25,000 ITAs. But then they had to conduct CEC draws, and they've been conducting CEC draws since May. And where are they going to make room for CEC draws, right? So I think that is the reason why the number of category draws has reduced, and because CEC had to be given importance. But again, having said that, I personally feel that category draws will continue. I don't see that scenario happening anytime soon where they would completely remove the requirement of CEC draws. Yes, it's a very politically driven situation right now because they are under so much of flack. I mean, can you imagine? I wouldn't want to be Mark Miller right now. Every time he comes out, he gets so much of negative comments. He gets so much of flack for all the mess that has been created by his predecessors, Sean Fraser, Marco Mendicino. I mean, of all the mess those guys created, now Mark Miller has to bear the brunt of it. And while he is making some really, really tough decisions, now, mind you, it can't be easy on him to come out every single time and have to justify the screw-ups of his previous predecessors, right? And every single time he has to come out and make these difficult choices, difficult decisions. You see, it's very easy to come and announce, hey, I'm giving extensions of postgraduate work permit to everybody. Very easy, very nice. You get everybody's clapping, everybody's happy, and you get to feel all nice that you made that call. Hey, I'm inviting 27,332 people, all express entry, everybody who's CEC, everybody is invited. You feel so, you can do all that kind of draws. But now the aftermath, the repercussions of those kind of the TR to PR program, right? Can you imagine? I mean, almost anybody who was in Canada could have become a permanent resident. That's how ridiculously, badly thought that program was. It was. I didn't think there was proper planning that went behind those. At that point of time, it was only a band-aid solution. It was only a quick fire solutions, and they did not think the aftermath of it. Of course, people benefited out of it, and to their credit, they were at the right place at the right time, and they took the benefit of it. But everybody else is now suffering, and there is nothing much you can do about it except just waiting it out. Because, for example, I'm an immigration consultant, right? And I know a lot of immigration consultants. Everybody's under a lot of stress. Why? Because at the end of the day, immigration is also our business. We make money out of it. We feed our families out of it. We eat out of it. And at the end of the day, if the immigration is going to get impacted, so the international students, the numbers are down. If the international students' numbers are down, the postgraduates' work permits will be down. If the postgraduate work permits are down, the spouse open work permit, a lot of changes are going to come for spouse open work permit. They intend to reduce the spouse open work permits by 100,000 a year. Caps, the caps are coming on the study permits. Permanent residence is difficult. Next year, the number of permanent residents to Canada, that number will be reduced. There is a very severe or serious outlook towards the refugee applications. So what kind of business am I going to do if there is going to be, everything is going to get restricted? So basically my pie of the my share of the pie keeps getting reduced and reduced and reduced. I got to pay salaries, I got to pay rent, I got to feed the family as well, and then there is so many other expenses. So what do immigration consultants do, or the lawyers do? Now, I know a lot of people talk about buying and selling of LMIAs, and that's a different debate for a different day. But at the end of the day, consultants are worried. They're worried for their own livelihood. I know of a few of them who are already thinking of closing shop. And at the end of the day, it impacts so many other people. And when you go into the next year and as you move forward, you will realize that these restrictions will continue at least for the next 2 years to 3 years. People who are able to lay low, when I'm saying lay low, means if you accept what is happening and figure a way around within that process, you might still be able to find a way. Now, when the first time the categories were announced, that was a time when I told all of you guys, just try to get 6 months of work experience and you will be able to get through. Now, I know of some people who really took that advice. They really took it right to the heart, and they executed it. They put it into action, and they were able to get the work experience within 6 months. Now, July of 2023 is when this has started. By December, January of this year, they were already ready to get into the pool, and they're ready to sort of take the advantage. A lot of people got through with the STEM, a lot of people got through with the trade, a lot of people got through with the healthcare, and they're all smiling right now. So whenever things like this happen, whenever the changes happen, when you can understand and you can work around those changes, keeping those changes in mind, you can still take advantage. Now today I've met few people uh, who are all part of a French language. I'm in Dubai at this moment, right? And in Dubai, it's very funny when you see these things. I'm an immigration consultant in Dubai. I don't have anything to sell to anybody over here, because I'm not going to tell you that you have a chance, just like agents over here do. They keep scamming people. They keep telling everybody you. Can you imagine, even today, the agents are telling people you will get a PR in 6 months. You're outside Canada. You're not in priority occupation. You're 40-year-old and you're still telling people that you will go through, you will get a PR in 6 months. How? And it's funny, people actually believe it, and they actually shell out enough amazing amount of money. But I was surprised today to see a big group of people who are actively pursuing French, and I was so happy to see that, because quite a few of them are part of our YouTube family, our Facebook family, who have taken that advice to heart, and they have been listening. They're right now towards the end of their completing their French language classes, and then hopefully they'll be able to complete their examinations and get through. So this is what happens whenever there is a change. You identify the change, you figure a way around it, and then you make it work for yourself. And that probably is the best way you take things head on. Just a word of advice. Right, some more questions before I am able to scoot off for the day, because it's been a long day. And a Sunday, right? I have applied for PR on August 2023. I got my pre-arrival letter. Since then, no update. 10 months. I have called them. Security check is still pending. PNP suggestion. Well, first of all, don't worry about it, because the normal average processing time is 18 months. And you are far from that 18 months period. You applied in August 2023. Expect something before December, probably. That could be the prospective timeline in your case, I would assume. Do you believe IRCC should introduce STEM CEC draw? Well, I have always thought that it's a very good possibility that IRCC may conduct a category-based CEC draw. It's a possibility. So if you do I believe it should happen? It's not about what I believe should happen or not in this case. It is a possibility. Yes, it's an absolute possibility. Jay says, applied for spouse non-accompanying, got AOR, work permit expired, applied for bridge open work permit for spouse, but due to emergency, spouse went to India. Do I need to change anything in my application? No, you don't need to change anything. How did you apply for your spouse's work permit when your spouse was unaccompanied? Yeah, but you don't need to change anything. I mean, regardless of the fact that you've already applied for it, it doesn't matter. But no, you don't need to change anything in your application if your spouse has already gone back. Is my husband eligible to apply for an open work permit extension while I'm holding a closed work permit? Yes, absolutely. If you are holding a closed work permit and you are currently working, you have your 3 pay stubs, your spouse can absolutely make an application for an open work permit. Provided you're in TEER code 0123. Yeah. I see GCMS 2 criminality, 1 entry with past bio, 1 entry not started, something to worry about before September 4th. I was told I have passed eligible recommend. Okay, so when you will ask me a question about GCMS, just by giving me one small quote from it, I can't tell you what it means and what is there to worry or not to worry. You have to review your GCMS notes in its entirety. And if there is something which says past bio, yeah, I mean, if it says past, it's fine. If it has not started, means at some point of time it's in the queue, it will be processed, it will be started. Hopefully it will be cleared and you would be good to go. I don't think you should be worried about anything at all. Scope of French for PR in 2025 and 2026. I think it's quite positive. I think it will continue. And the reason why I think it will continue is because, hey, French is the second official language of Canada. And I see absolutely no reason for any politician to come out and say that they will be stopping Francophone draws or they do not want to pay any attention to Francophone. Quebec is a huge political agenda for all politicians. I don't see anything happening to French in PR. I mean, I think it will continue as an important category. Course was hybrid, attended mainly online, marked answer as yes. Do you attend course 50% in person? Will this be an issue? Well, then that was relevant to during COVID. And if this is past COVID, then you should answer it no. And then you will not get your points for education. So you have to see what was the period of time for your education. And accordingly, you can always add a letter of explanation as well. If this was a hybrid program impacted with post-COVID or COVID regulations. Postgraduate work permit expiring November and STEM 502 points. Lawyer suggests applying for bridge open work permit without ITA and adding later if ITA received rather than fake extension. So you are telling me, your lawyer is telling you to apply for a bridge open work permit without getting an ITA, but not apply for fake extension. So what is fake extension? Ask him what is the meaning of fake extension. It's the same thing. The thing, what is a fake extension? Fake extension is you make an application for extension of work permit even though you are not eligible for it. That is what fake extension is. And if he is telling you to apply for bridge open work permit even if you're not eligible, then that is fake extension. So please ask him, what are you even saying? What are the risks? There are no risks here. Even if it is refused, you can apply for restoration and then bridge open work permit if you are eligible to apply for it, or you can change your status and apply for visitor record. But trust me, if you're not eligible for it and you make an application, it is a fake extension. Tell that lawyer that. Yash says, I have completed 3 years and 11 months of CEC and in STEM. My score was updated to reflect 4 years, but my work permit is expiring this month. What should I do? Should I apply for a fake extension? Now, this is a question here of what fake extension is. Now, if you apply for an extension of work permit, though you are not eligible for it, then this is fake extension. Then you get implied status. That is the law, that is the provision, and you can continue working. This is a legal period of your work. And if you can do that, then yes, you can absolutely continue working and complete that period of work experience. So if you wish to do that, absolutely do it. There is no risk, there is no harm in it at this point of time. And if it is refused, you can apply for restoration of status at that point of time. If you're eligible to apply for bridge open work permit, go ahead and do it. If not, you can change it to a visitor record. Short-term disability pay experience count under CEC? No. Any period of work that you are not working, even if it was disability, even if it was any other period of time that you were getting paid but you were not working, that is not work experience. You cannot claim points for it. Similarly, like maternity leave. If you're on a maternity leave, you are being paid. Let's say some employers pay, but you're not working because you're on maternity leave. That period of work experience does not count. So same thing here. Is AIP open in New Brunswick January 2025? Well, at this point of time, I can't tell you about Jan 2025. I guess New Brunswick will update that stream when it happens. CEC score is 507. Will there be any chances? Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It will all depend on how frequently IRCC conducts its draw and how many invitations do they issue. 1 year masters in September, that was hybrid. Will I not get any points for this in EE if I attended online? I was in Canada, the course was hybrid. Well, if you attended the entire program online, then you may not be eligible. Now you need to go back and check if there was any COVID policies applicable at that point of time which allowed for hybrid or online studies. Now there was, I don't remember the exact date of the expiry of that policy. So you'll have to check the expiration of that policy under COVID. It was extended once or twice that the students can continue to study online and they will still be eligible for the work permit. They will still be eligible for the points. So you just need to go back into the archives for IRCC and check what the COVID policies were in terms of studying online and studying hybrid. And if that applies to you, then you will be fine. Wife is a Canadian citizen. We married recently. It will take 10 to 12 weeks to get a certificate. What should I upload in my PR application? Well, first of all, congratulations. What you can do is go to the City Hall and request them to expedite the processing of the application. They do consider that, and they do provide you with a marriage certificate sooner. That's one thing. Second, if you still don't get it, then upload your marriage license and a letter of explanation stating you've already applied for marriage certificate, you haven't received it due to processing times, and when you receive it, you will upload it using the web form. Please advise if I should go for fake extension or visit visa for my husband, as I go applied for LMIA and my work permit expired. So I don't understand what you're asking me here, because the portion is garbled, but Yeah, I really cannot understand what you're asking me. As in, I can't understand the situation, but it's your call. If you wish to apply and you have a provision to make an application such as that, then by all means choose it. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm not able to understand this as I applied for LMIA. But if your LMIA is not approved, okay, then you might still be able to apply for a closed work permit on the basis that your LMIA is in process if you already had a closed work permit from the same company. But because I can't understand what is here, so unfortunately, I won't take that. Right. I obviously am not able to answer all of your questions. Uh, let's take this last one. Can you explain the soft landing process? Well, soft landing process is nothing but you get approved for permanent residence. You come to Canada to activate your landing status. Once you are confirmed your landing status, you are now a permanent resident of Canada. Now, after you become permanent resident of Canada, you are free to go wherever you wish to. You may continue living in Canada, or you may return back to your country of residence or your home country and come back on a later date when before the when you want to, and that would be hard landing. So that's what soft landing is. It's just a term that people have coined. I do not know how people coin these terms, but that's how it is. So soft landing is nothing but coming to Canada, activating your status as permanent resident, and then after a few days, weeks, months, just leaving, going back to your home country, and then coming at a later time when you wish to reside in Canada permanently. That's what it is. Right. Thank you so much, guys. I know I haven't answered all your questions because there are so many of them that they keep coming. Thank you so much for doing that. But please, by all means, that's the link. You are always welcome to book an appointment for consultation. We can do that more in detail, one-on-one. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I shall take your leave. Good night, and I'll see you next time.